Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the radio.com portion of the program on this President's Week. A lot of kids out of school, obviously, this week. Holiday everywhere today. Markets closed, etc. So, hope you enjoyed the President's Day holiday on this Monday, the 17th day of February. So, we're halfway through this month. The weather has been very, very acceptable here in New York, as you know. Been kind of warm. We haven't had a lot of snow. We've had record low numbers as far as snowfall goes for this winter. And before you know it, it'll be March. You got a lot to look forward to. You got baseball games starting next weekend. And get past all the sign stealing stuff, or at least try to. It won't be easy, but try to. But the games will start next weekend. Both the Yankees and Mets have games next Saturday that will be broadcast. The spring training schedule begins that early. You have a full month of spring training games, and you have some dates to look forward to. You're inside a month now to this Selection Sunday, which is March 15th. Remember, this year you're going to have a regional at the Garden, which will be interesting. In the old days they wouldn't play regionals, in New York, but they are. And you have the finals, I believe, in Atlanta. I think the Final Four is in Atlanta this year, which is a great. If you haven't been there, is a great, great stadium for anything. As nice as any place in America to go for a game. Yeah, it's as nice as any place in America to go for a game. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful building. It's not a great city. It's boring, but it's a great facility. As nice as Jerry's building in Texas. It's actually probably even nicer. It's as nice a building as there is in the country. Great building, wonderful, and it'll be very, very good for the Final Four also. So that is right around the corner. All-Star game last night. I thought the tributes to Kobe were obviously very thoughtful and very well done. The the introduction took about an hour, which was ridiculous. But hey, what are you gonna do? And then I tried to watch a little of the game, and I got through enough plays in the first quarter where three guys got across into the forecourt. The first three guys across were all offensive players. There were no defensive players on that side of the court as they dunked the ball. And after seeing three runs of that in a row, back and forth up in the court, I had enough. So I don't care what they did in the end of the game. You can't. I can't watch that. I just can't watch it. I can't watch them just run up and dunk or run up and shoot and run up and dunk and no one guards anybody and throw the ball length of the floor and score 100 points in the first quarter. I just can't watch. So that was the end of that. The real story is twofold today. One is the Cespedes story, which we'll get to with Eddie C in a couple of minutes. The second, of course, is this continued problem for baseball, and Manfred really did a terrible job opening his mouth. The interview he gave just really, he really dug himself a hole. The way he referred to things, he really got people upset with him with his, talk about the piece of metal for the trophy, and that's basically all the World Series is, a piece of metal. I mean, it was not smart. He did not handle it well. I like Manfred. He's a nice man. He really is. He's a gentleman. He's a nice man. He really did a bad job with this. He didn't. I didn't think he did a bad job early on with the Houston thing. But what he's done here is he did not, and baseball should have coordinated what Houston was going to do. He should not have allowed Houston or trusted Houston to do what they wanted, because what this has done now is it has put it right back on the commissioner's office. Houston did such a terrible job in handling this. All they did was create a nightmare for themselves in baseball. Now, baseball's had to step back in, and when he has stepped back in, he has done an awful job in his comments. Plus, I don't know why anybody thought they were going to punish the players. They were never going to punish the players. You couldn't punish the players in this. It was going to open Pandora's box. And the teams. Here's my word for the teams that are complaining. We're talking about degrees here. So tell me that you never, ever doctored a baseball or had anybody on your team who doctored the ball, which I know any of the teams mentioning have had guys who were caught doing different things. Plus, everybody had players, and the Yankees had more than most. Want me to go down and list the guys for the Yankees who had big hits, who were steroid users, who had big hits in postseason or World Series games, who were steroid users, or pitched well for the Yankees who were steroid users? So we're talking about what? Degrees of cheating, or all cheating's bad now? Or what's gamesmanship and what's cheating? There's a fine line here that because of the fact that there was technology used, that changes everything. So now past cheating is okay, but this cheating raises to a different level that we're going to overturn championships? There's no way to overturn championships. And if you're the Yankees or Dodgers, why would you even whine? What? You didn't win it. Dodgers, you've had enough chances. Get some outs. Get some outs. Get Kershaw to get some outs, and you would have won a championship already. If you're the Yankees, shut up. You've won enough championships. You want to whine your way into another one? When did the Yankees have to go begging for championships? I mean, it's embarrassing. Stop already. What do you want to do? Just hand you a championship that you didn't earn? You weren't good enough. Stop whining. Did the Orioles whine when the Jeffrey Mayer game was stolen from them? And it was stolen from them. Did I hear the Yankees say we're giving that game back? Did I hear the Yankees saying when guys hit game-winning home runs who were steroid users that they were giving the games back? The answer is no. So what are we talking about here? Degrees? It's all cheating. So stop here with this stuff. Now, listen, if you're a fan and you want their championship taken away, that's fine. But it doesn't make any sense. Because there's no way to discuss what level this cheating took. You've had guys say, you just had Correa say that Altuve didn't like taking the signs, which is what Reynolds had said before. And Altuve now has come out and said that two guys who didn't want the signs were Altuve and Reddick. Now, Altuve's numbers in 17 are very, very, I looked them up, they're very contradictory. In the regular season, where they used sign stealing all year, supposedly, Altuve hit much better on the road than he did at home. His home batting average was 311. His home his away batting average was 381. His home slugging was 463. His away slugging was 633. His OPS was 834 at home and 1080 on the road. So Altuve's numbers in the regular season in 17, which should have been much higher at home because he was getting the signs reportedly, was much higher on the road than he was at home. His splits were ridiculous. They were incredibly pro-road. But then in the postseason, his splits were enormously home. He went 17 for 36 at home, but 5 for 35 on the road in the playoffs. He also faced some great pitching then, but he didn't hit on the road. He hit at home. But in the regular season, he didn't hit at home, and he hit on the road. So I don't know what to make from that. Now you got players saying, well, I know they cheated in 18 and 19. Wait a second. Beltran left. Cora left. They were masterminds of this thing. How do you know they cheated in 18? Or cheated in 19? And in 19, you know it was a different cast of characters. Now, so we don't know if they did or they didn't. I'm not saying they didn't cheat in 19. I don't know if they did or didn't. I would have no idea. But I'd like to know how you know they cheated in 19. Now, also, Houston should have done a much better job of this, and they should have clarified from the beginning exactly when they stopped doing this, which they have not done. See, they were not forced, and this is where baseball should have said, here's how this first day is going to be run. We're going to run it. You're not running it. We're running it. And we're going to tell you what we want the players to do. We're going to tell you how we want it run, and we're going to be there to be involved. So you're not going to decide that. You're not going to have the owner go up there and say, I have no idea, and then have the players speak for 30 seconds and then leave. We're not going to do that. All that's going to do is make a bad situation worse, and that's exactly what it did. So baseball did a bad job. They shouldn't have trusted the Astros to do this right. But how about the Dodgers and the Yankees? Shut up already. I mean, enough. No, you can't whine your way into a title. Earn it. And for the Yankees, let's be fair. I've seen the Yankees get so many breaks in the postseason. And I asked the other team to just suck it up and shut up about it. When the umpires would Phil Cuzzy blow a call, or the Jeffrey Mayer play, you know what? I just said, hey, tough luck. You move on. You get some, you give some. You know what? If the same thing for the Yankees, shut up now. You lost that series. You didn't win it. You didn't hit in Houston. Forget the fact that they hit in Houston. They won games 2-1 there, too, where you couldn't hit. And their pitchers weren't getting any signs. And the Dodgers, you know what? You haven't been good enough. You haven't been clutch enough. So shut up and win right. Or you want to tell us that Washington did something last year? That you want to blame something on somebody else for last year too? You just haven't been good enough in a big spot. And why would you want somebody to hand you a title? My God, what could be worse? What could be more embarrassing than somebody just hand you a championship? You didn't earn it. You want to vacate the championship? We can argue that. Giving somebody the championship, that can't happen. Sorry. Nobody else earned the championship. You could take it away from Houston. We could discuss that all day, whether you could take it away from Houston. But you can't give it to anybody else. Nobody gets to be given championships. They didn't earn. It wasn't like they won the game and they had to take it away from them. That just doesn't work. But this has gotten worse and worse because the players now, and the players, remember, the players handle this in such a phony manner. If the guy's on my team, he's forgiven. Oh, really? So that's convenient. So if he's on your team, so does that mean that Torres now is going to go down the clubhouse and tell Cole that I think you cheated last year? Or is he absolved because he's a Yankee now? Because Torres today is saying that the Astros cheated last year. So march down the clubhouse and tell Cole, I think you cheated last year. And go ask Cole if he cheated last year. No, but he'll be absolved because he's on my team. And then like Cole say something like he didn't like the way Houston handled things. Sure, great, yeah. I'm sure he said that last year. I didn't hear him saying it during the season at all. It's always when it's convenient for the player. And what do you want Davis to do? Davis came up as a kid with the Astros, and last year when he's asked about something, did you want him to throw all the Astros under the bus last year when you got asked him, ran to him last year, and now you're going to get on him for lying? Did you think he was going to be the one to blow the whistle on the Houston Astros? Would you expect him to blow the whistle on the Houston Astros when he's not there anymore? Or say nothing? I mean, what did you expect the guy to do? So let me get this straight. Half of baseball's killing the whistleblower. But then if you don't blow the whistle, then you're wrong too. I mean, come on now. Look at how they're killing this guy, and you would expect other players to do it? But then the guys who do it on your team who say they're sorry, they're okay. And if the Yankees had a problem, why didn't they go ask Beltran what happened? He was there. He was a Yankee employee. I mean, how comical is that? And maybe you don't want Cole. Maybe you want to tell Cole to go back here now to Houston. Since he was such a rotten scoundrel last year, maybe you should ask him to leave. Or you're going to pull a Verlander where he says, yeah, I really should have done something. I really wasn't a part of it. Okay, now everybody's not a part of it. I mean, this is such nonsense, folks, after the fact. It's whatever script is convenient for the day. All right, I'll put that on hold. Let me get to Eddie C because we want to get to Cespedes. As I welcome Eddie in, let me say this about the Mets. I said this to you 100 times last year. I said this about the Mets last year. They probably had as good a locker room as I can ever remember. Not just for them, but they had one of the most pleasant locker rooms I could ever remember last year. They had so many. I mean, Wheeler was a great guy. DeGrom's a great guy. McNeil's a great guy. Alonso was a great guy. You heard Alonso on the show with me a lot of times last year. I mean, they had so many good guys. They were one of the really unusually good locker rooms. And now you can take it to the bank that Cespedes will ruin that. I mean, he will ruin that. I mean, I predicted that a month ago, and today, of course, he's already starting. So either Cespedes has to come out of the gate hitting 400 and ripping the cover off the ball, or you have to get him out of town by May or he'll destroy that team. One or the other. Eddie C. joins us now. Eddie, I see Cespedes is sprinkling his sunshine already all over the Met locker room. So, this is going to be hard for a young manager, and you know this better than anybody because the players probably like Eddie more than they like anybody in the media down there. They love Eddie. You know how many good guys they got on that team, including Wheeler, who I don't think they should be beaten up on because he was a great guy. As nice a guy who ever came down the pike, Wheeler. Great guy, and good for him to get his money. He's a talented kid. That's why he got his money. So the Mets should just be quiet. Brody made a mistake getting on Wheeler. But Cespedes, I mean, that's the first thing I thought about. He could ruin that locker room. He really could.
He could, I guess, if he's with the team at the beginning of the season.
Right, and we don't know if he is yet. Right. But now he's decided to spread his sunshine during the spring training, right?
Yeah, well, that was the mystifying thing to me. Here's a guy that hasn't been around for a couple of years. And, basically, listen, I know he's upset with the media. I know he's upset with how he was portrayed and the Boer story and all that stuff. I get it, okay? But the guy hasn't been around for a couple of years. All he's trying to do is just find out, where are you? Where are you right now?
Get it at it. Just tell the people what they want to know. Tell them where I am. Here's my plan. Here's what I'm going to do. It's going to take me a week, a month. It's going to take me 2 months. Whatever. They weren't going to ask him whether he stepped in a hole or whether he was on a horse or whether he was hunting wild boar. They're not going to ask him any of those questions.
Yeah. And even if those questions came, they could have been cut off by just saying, look, ahead of time, I'm not going to talk about anything that happened on the ranch. You want to ask me about, what he could have set some parameters. And, and we don't care. All you need to do is hear from a guy we haven't heard from in 2 years.
2 years.
That's basically all we were trying to do. And we got, no, not today, not tomorrow, not ever.
Not ever. Now you got it. Now you created a story. And now here's what people don't understand, which you can talk to. What fans don't understand is you say, oh, how is it going to affect the climate? Because now every player is going to get asked about Cespedes by the media, and they don't want to talk about Cespedes.
No, it was funny because we asked Robbie Cano about Cespedes today, and we went over and told him what happened because he was asking. He says, "What's going on over there?" And so we told him, and he said, "Don't worry." He says he'll talk to you as soon as he hits the spring training home run.
Well, there's Robbie, who is good in the locker room, as we know. Okay, who is very good in the locker room. Cano is very positive with the young players. He was great if you ask anybody with the Mets, they'll tell you he changed Rosario completely last year. He did a great job with Rosario. And you heard him say, I got to play better this year. I want to be the old Cano, which was the right thing to say. I want to be the old Cano, not the guy you saw be a bum last year for half a season. I want to be the old Cano. That's the right thing to say when you come to spring training. So all Cespedes had to do was give you 10 minutes, and he already turned it into a national incident.
Yeah, well, I don't even think we needed 10 minutes. I could have, the ironic thing to me, a couple of things about it. Number one, that the ironic thing to me is that, he said at the end, I think it was Kevin Kernan who asked him, what about the fans? The fans want to know, like where you are. And he said, well, I may speak to the fans. Well, how do you speak to the fans?
That's what what are you going to do? You're going to go out in the street?
Yeah, I speak to fans through us. Hello. That's why we're here.
Maybe he's going to meet him on a golf course, Ed. He's going to meet him on a golf course when he comes north. Because you know what? Yeah. I know a lot of people, including me, who have bumped into him on a golf course in the morning. Okay, so he's out there a lot, as you know. So you can bump into him on the golf course.
No, I know we're the conduit here. That's the idea. But the other thing is this: I got a kick out of this because Saturday, Sunday, and then today we kind of had the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good on Saturday was Pete Alonso arriving in camp, and Pete, there's nobody better than Pete.
Oh, he's great.
I'm amazed all the time how concise, how clear, how cogent he is, how he gets it. And for a 25-year-old kid,
guy's great.
You know how he understands not only his place in the game, but his place with us. He's a good teammate.
And he hasn't changed either. You know, he hasn't, and he's already a big star, and he hasn't changed either. It hasn't gone to his head.
It's great for baseball, and he gave us 15 minutes or so of great stuff. Just what he wants to do this year. How he wants to do it, how he's not going to be distracted by what he did last year, et cetera, et cetera. That was Saturday. Then yesterday we got Jed Lowry. All right.
Oh, which was which I was going to get to next, which we'll get to next, which was let's get to Lowry. Go ahead, which was a joke.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that. He came in Sunday, and this is an intelligent guy. A Stanford guy. And talk about not getting it.
Oh my God! You can't make the comments he made yesterday.
I was just totally mystified by the way he went about it. I don't know how many times we asked him and how many times he talked around it. The fact that he's got this large brace on his leg, that's fine. I understand. Maybe you're hurting. That's okay. You don't have to be ready right now. Just what's the plan? What are you doing? What's the thing? It makes me feel good. The brace makes me feel good. Okay. All right, great, terrific. But what's wrong? Why is the brace on your leg? You never get around to that. We talked around things for 10 minutes.
I'm surprised he's there, Eddie. I'm surprised he's there.
I don't. Well, again, he got paid $10 million for 7 pinch hit at bats last year. He's getting paid $10 million again this year. I don't know what's going to happen.
There's no room for him on the team.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's he was working out with the team today. You look around and you kind of number the spots. There isn't. I don't even know if there was room for him last year, for that matter. But there might not be room for him this year, and especially if he's hurt. And then again, you had Cespedes today, so I called the good, the bad, the ugly. Bingo.
Very good. Now, let me ask you this: what'd you get out of management about Lowry?
Not much. Really not much. Van Wagenen wasn't around to talk today. He was, or yesterday for that matter. He was out in Sarasota, but they had the commissioners thing yesterday. But so really not much. There's, the plan is for him to do his workouts down here, but this seems worse than it was last year when he had a hamstring problem at the beginning of spring training, and we asked him, "Are you going to be ready for opening day?" And he goes, "I'm not quite sure," and he obviously never was. So, that brace goes from above his knee down to his ankle. That's
Eddie, he's not playing.
My question to him was, is the idea to get the brace down to something more workable?
Why come in showing that? Why even make that visible? It's just that this team and this young manager, they don't need that. They don't need that this year.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
And they got off on a bad foot with Beltran, which all right, they get past that. That wasn't their doing. So they get past it. Whether they handle it right or not doesn't matter. They got past that. Now you have, all right. We all know that there is a positive side to Cespedes. That if he's healthy, on his walk year, he might be motivated to really be a good bat.
Sure.
All right, we know that.
Well,
okay,
that's why he's here.
Right, that's why he's here.
Yeah.
But to me, he's got to show you that bat right away because he also has the ability to turn that into a sour, negative clubhouse. And that's been and that was one thing that team didn't have last year. You had a lot of good guys on that team last year. And they all got along, they all liked each other, they all pulled in the same direction. You didn't have a lot of problems on that team last year.
No, listen, generally they have been a good clubhouse. It was a very good clubhouse last year. It's a very good one this year. And I think, Rojas has set a pretty good tone. They like Louis, and it's, I think they're going to play for him, and I think he's going to be a good manager. I really do. But, the thing is that you've got to get off on a good foot and a good start. And, the Cespedes, I can't call it a problem because I really don't know what effect he's going to have on this team at this point in time.
Well, right now, if your gut right now, is Cespedes on the opening day roster?
I don't think so myself. But again, he was out there today. He looked fine. Now, he did do some outfield drills. He was moving around. I don't know if he can play the outfield. I'm sure he feels he's going to be on the opening day roster. This is a guy who wants to play 140 games.
Well, you see, then he's playing him in center field because, let's be honest, he won't. As you know, he won't play right field.
Right, he won't play right.
This is a guy, think about it, who has one of the great arms in baseball, who completely refuses to play right field. Refuses. And on this team, if you can't put Davis in right field, so you have to put Davis in left field. If you have Davis, who's a butcher, who's a great hitter, but he's not a good fielder, if you put him in anywhere but left field, you're going to get destroyed, which means you're going to have to play. And I don't know if Cespedes can play center field, and he refuses to play right field.
No, he's not going to play. I mean, listen, the plan is for Nimmo to play center field.
Well, then where's Cespedes playing?
He's going to play in left field.
Well, then Davis doesn't play, though.
That's correct.
I don't think his bat might not be better than Davis's now, though.
Well, it's possible. I think, listen, if Cespedes is on his game, I think there's one thing we know he can do. He can hit.
Right, but Davis had a good year last year.
He did. He did have a good – there's no question he had a good year. Absolutely. Listen, I like J.D., and I think he should play. I don't know if Cespedes is here and he's healthy. I guess this plays out during spring training. I think that's what you have to do, Mike. But
maybe you could trade Cespedes to an American League team who takes him as a DH. Maybe. I mean, might be. Maybe. Maybe.
It's a possibility.
Because Cespedes would be better off DHing now anyway.
Well, here's the thing. I think clubs are wary of him. Number one.
But it's only $6 million though this year, right?
It is, yeah. I mean, he has incentives to make a lot more. Now, whether those incentives carry over to, I guess they would if they're in his contract.
Right.
He has an ability.
And he might hit on a walkie. If I'm an American League team and I have the DH spot and I need a bat, I might be interested in him. I might be.
Well, listen, he can certainly do that over there. The problem that the Mets have, I think, is they have to gauge, what kind of player this guy is going to be like. If they have a good Cespedes and a productive Cespedes, they don't want him out of here. I really don't.
But I don't understand where he's going to play though.
Yeah, well,
because he's going to kill Davis's at bats then.
Yeah, he will. I don't think there's any question about that. He will. That's going to affect JD's at bats. But that I think they feel that Rojas can handle Cespedes and handle Cano, and that's one of the reasons.
Well, I don't think Cano's a problem. I think the question is how. I think Cano. The question I have for this is how much does Cano play? Does Cano see himself as an 80-game player now, or does he see himself? Because there's no DH for Cano either. So do I see Cano as a 100-game second baseman now? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I think you're looking at probably more than that. I think Robbie's looking at more than that. I guarantee you that. Robbie, he's not going to play 160, but is he going to play 120? I think that's.
Of course, when he's hitting, it doesn't matter if it's lefty or righty. It makes no difference. You know that,
right?
Yeah. So
I know.
So I mean, but I don't see him playing every day. But I see him playing, 5 days a week.
Yeah. I think that's one of the problems that Rojas may have as time goes on, and that's with both those guys if they're healthy and if they're playing and if they're productive.
Who's the other? Who do you think the other second baseman is?
They have Eduardo Nunez here. They have the ex-Yankee who went to the Red Sox. He's in camp.
Nooney, I love Nooney, but he can't field.
I know he can't field. They have Lowry here at second base.
Again, Lowry would make sense if he were healthy, but it doesn't sound good.
It doesn't look like he's healthy at this point. And whether he's going to be ready, I have no idea. But those are your backups that you're looking at. You have Guillorme, who was here last year.
You see, they need somebody who's right-handed who can play second base, and when you want to give Cano off against a good lefty, that's what you're looking for. You need somebody who could play second base right-handed. That's what you're looking for.
They have Matt Adams here, who's kind of a backup.
I like him. I like him. I don't know if he makes the team. Does he make the team, Adams?
Yeah, I think he may. Yeah, I think he may because he's left-handed. He's a big bat off the bench. Plus, if you want to spot Alonso for a day.
Yeah, but that's going to be very rare, giving Alonso a day off.
No, I know. That's very true. But
what about backup catcher? Who's going to be the backup catcher?
Good question. I think Rene Rivera probably would have an inside track. He's in good shape.
Okay.
Nito is here. He'll get his shot. There's no question about it. But
they're trying to patch up all the problems for Ramos, right? They're trying to patch up all the issues, right?
Yes, yeah. Ramos is going to get the majority of playing.
And does that mean with Syndergaard too?
That's with Syndergaard. Syndergaard has been throwing to him down here when he's had bullpens, and Listen, I'm pretty sure Luis Rojas is not going to have personal catchers. So
Okay.
Guys are just going to have to deal with it. That's all. And Syndergaard, he'll deal with it. He's in a better frame of mind this year.
Well, before we get back to Cespedes, Eddie, right now, if you're going to do it this early in camp, the givens, you got Alonso, obviously, at first. You got Rosario at short. I got McNeil at third. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think McNeil is going to.
All right, and we got Cano at second, backed up by question mark. Then we got Ramos, obviously, and we got Conforto in right. We got who's going to be? Do you think is going to get the bulk of the center field work?
Probably Nimmo.
You think Nimmo? And when Nimmo doesn't play, who plays out there?
Marisnik probably will, I would imagine.
All right, so he's a good glove, but he's not a good hitter. And then you have Davis and Cespedes in left field.
Cespedes and Davis, correct.
Now, if Cespedes is actually hitting, then Davis can't play center. He can't play center.
Oh, he can't. The only place JD can play
is left,
field. And he could play third base.
Okay, the question is, so you think you could give him some? So could you play Davis at third and McNeil at second?
Yes, you could do that.
All right, that might be how you pick up 20 games for Davis that way.
No, you can.
Are you okay with Davis? Are you okay with Davis at third base?
I'm okay spotting him there. That's I don't think you can't do a regular diet of that. He's not a great third baseman. But you could spot him there. You could put McNeil at second. What Rojas is trying to do, and listen, I applaud him for it. He's moving guys all around. Even Conforto, who he wants in right field all the time, he's putting them in center a little bit, and he'll play him in center down here.
And would they try and give Davis some time in right? Is it possible?
I guess it's possible.
Or the unthinkable. Would Cespedes consider right field? He will not, right?
No, I'll give you an answer like he gave us this morning. That would be a no.
A no already.
That's not gonna happen.
He really comes back and cares about the team. The perfect place for him to play is in right field, and he refuses to play there.
Well, he's not doing that. He never has, and he won't. The other, I doubt you would ever see Davis in right field. I mean, could you do it? Yes, you could do it if you had to do it in a pinch, but I doubt you'd see it. I think they only really trust him in left field. And let's, honestly, they have to be a better defensive team than what they've been. And I don't think that, even I have my doubts too. Again, up the middle, are you strong? I think Rosario's gotten better. Cano's probably lost a step. Marisnik is fine in center. Nimmo,
Eddie, it's not a great defensive team. It's not a great.
Even McNeil at third, and you love the bat. You have to put him in there. He'll try, and I think he'll be fine there. But is he going to be a great third baseman? No, he's probably not. So
it's a sub defensive team, Ed. It's a sub defensive team. It's any way you slice it. They don't have a great defender. They don't have a great defender on the team,
right.
And they got a lot of question marks on defense. There's no question.
Well, I think what they're going to do is try to to use the analytics to position guys a lot better and have that edge in that sense, and so they won't have to go as far for balls, et cetera. Help maybe Cano with his range and et cetera in the outfield as well too. So I think that's probably how they try to make up for it. But they know they have to be a better defensive team. Is
Cespedes' presence a problem on the team?
No. I would say no overall. I don't think so. I think there are a lot of guys in there who like him. Obviously, I think there are guys who don't deal with him. But is his presence a team? No. I think. Is it a problem? No, I don't think it is. I think that what happens though is probably what you said before. If he gets testy with the press, and then the press come with questions to other people about that, then that gets to be a problem because people don't want to answer for him. Let him do his own talking. If he can't do that, that's the least you can do, whatever. He's not a guy who talks to us on a regular basis anyway.
No, but, let's be honest, Ed. Let's be honest, to be fair, and we're talking with Eddie Coleman, of course, that when Cespedes, and he carried the team to a World Series. We all know that. I mean, he carried the team. He played brilliantly. We know that. But this team walked on eggshells around Cespedes in those days. Cespedes did whatever he wanted on that team. Absolutely. Although we didn't get to play third base that night against the Yankees because I happened to be down there with Terry at the time. And Terry said yes. Cespedes came in and said, I know you have a shortage. I'll play third. And he penciled him in at third, and Sandy came in and said, absolutely not. He's not playing third base. So he took him out of the lineup because Terry was going to put him at third because he volunteered. I'll play third. Remember that night when they didn't have enough guys? Remember that against the Yankees?
Exactly.
And Cespedes said he was going to play third, and Terry told me he was going to play third, and then Sandy came in and said he's not playing third. So that was it. And but he would never play right field. Terry asked him to play right field. He refused to play right field. We know, and he could be he's a prima donna, but he's not the star anymore. That's the problem. So you wonder. DeGrom's a big star. Alonso's a big star. Now these guys are big stars, and they might not be as tolerant about it as this guy now with his antics.
Yeah, I think that takes time. Right now it's early in spring training, and a lot of these guys, let's say, Pete Alonso doesn't really know Yoenis Cespedes very well. Okay,
right.
He doesn't. So, and there are other guys too that don't have that much of a relationship with him. So things take time. Listen, sometimes great players are great teammates. Other times, great players are very much me players, and Cespedes falls more into that category.
Yep.
And a great teammate. Okay,
and he's not. We don't know if he's great anymore either.
And that's true. That doesn't mean you can't have an impact and you can't be positive toward the team. You can't have a positive effect on the team. But that's just the way he is. So sometimes you have to deal with that. It's just the nonsense that goes on around him that you really don't need, and you especially don't need a couple of days into spring training. This was the first day. This is the first day.
Listen, he created headlines today, and he created negative headlines today, and you didn't need that.
Exactly.
And you didn't need that. And now this is not what you needed today, and I'm sure they're shaking their heads about that. And we all know what he can be like. Now, I don't blame the Mets from this standpoint. He could turn around and rip the cover off the ball all year. He's capable of that. We all know that, especially on a walk year. He's on a walk year, and he could turn around and hit. Could I tell you that Cespedes couldn't hit 40 home runs? I wouldn't do that because Cespedes is a guy on his walk year might go crazy.
Yeah, listen. He feels he's good for 40 home runs and 140 games. That's what he's already said. So
I wouldn't bet against him if he stayed healthy. But the question also is, you don't know when he's going to play, what he's going to say, what he's going to do, how he's going to act, or anything else either.
Yeah, and I think I think probably the biggest thing or the biggest question I would have right now is not whether he can play the outfield, because I think he can. But it's how much that will take out of him. Again, he's been away for a long time here. How much that will take out of him the day-to-day as you go through the season. That's why the rest, to me, would be very important, and why they have to be careful with him if he is producing. To lay him out when you can, whether he's agreeable to that. There's a lot, I think, that goes into managing him this year. Let's put it that way. But I think he could be a very effective player if he can. I'm almost positive he can hit. Okay, I don't think he's forgotten that. And he looked like he was on some balls today. We were watching live BP. They actually did live BP on the first day of full squad workout, which is rare for them. But so some guys were tuned in pretty good, and Cespedes looked like he was too. He also threw the bat over the third base dugout, slipped out of his hands at one point too. So, but he had a couple of bombs today. So we'll see. We'll see.
All right, let me ask you a couple other things. Number one, Tradition Field, does it look a lot different for $57 million?
That's it. It doesn't look a lot different. The front of it does. As you look at as you face the stadium, it does. The front facade does. The lead up to it is a lot different. So it's going to look, I think, a little bit different. It's now called Clover Park.
Oh, Clover Park. What is that
Clover
for?
Park. I have no idea.
Clover Park. Okay.
I have no idea.
And so when you drive up, it would look different when you drive up?
It does. It looks a little bit different, but it's in you're the same spot. I think the difference that fans will see is that there's a kind of there's another tiki bar out in left field,
Gotcha.
And a walkway that goes out past the left field fence, where fans can, look at the field and also turn the other way and look at the pitchers warming up in the bullpen too. So
Gotcha.
I think that's a little bit different.
They followed the Phillies with that, with the little bar behind the fence. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, number two.
It looks nice, and the practice fields are set up a little bit differently and probably more conducive for them.
All right, number two, Davis and Marisnick having to deal with this Astros stuff, especially Davis. Oh, he lied. I mean, did people think Davis was going to throw the team under the bus when they asked him about it? He was there as a kid.
Yeah.
He gets called rolled into the middle of it. Did he think last year he was going to throw the team under the bus when they asked him about it? I mean, come on.
That was a tough spot for
right.
For
I mean, he
JT.
wasn't going to do that.
You know, he warranted back that he lied, and he did. Let's be honest, he lied about it in December, but he was probably, you know, a little afraid at that point in time.
Right, he didn't want to be involved, which I understand. He wasn't. It's it's not about him. We know that, and he's not going to blow the whistle on everybody.
Right. I thought he handled it pretty well. He stammered a little bit through it. I understand. He's still young, and again, this is a kid who came up August 5th. He was trying to, trying to stick on the major league club, trying to make an impression. He's not going to step on anybody's toes at that point in time, so he kept his mouth shut, and that was it. He apologized and did what he had to do the other day. I thought Marisnick owned it pretty well. I really did. I thought. This is a guy who came up in 2013. He's been traded. He was in Houston for a couple of years before 2017. So, he probably should have known better. And as he said, when he talked to us, he said, listen, I could have stopped it. Anybody in there could have stopped it. I didn't. They didn't. So I have to own that, and I apologize for it. And I'm embarrassed by it. And I thought he owned it pretty well. I thought he handled it as well as you possibly could. Really.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy stuff. Especially the day I'm watching it, Howard Reynolds is on there saying, I keep hearing from everybody that Altuve didn't want it. Then Correa comes out and says that Altuve wouldn't take the signs from anybody. I mean, you got hit that he and Riddick refused the signs. And I looked, Altuve was weird. He hit great on the road and not bad at home, but his numbers, his splits in 17 in the regular season were outrageously road positive. And then his postseason numbers were outrageously home positive. So,
interesting.
He hit me.
It was interesting with Marisnick because Marisnick had his best season ever, and his home numbers were terrific. So, he obviously benefited from it. Whether he took part in it totally, maybe, I don't know. He didn't really speak to that, but as he said, I could have done something about it. I'm an adult. I'm a big guy. I'm old enough. I know better. I didn't do it. So I give him a lot of credit for. You could have hemmed and hawed. A lot of guys can hem and haw. The guy to me that came out looking like a fool was the owner. And
he was terrible. Terrible. Like as a matter of fact, but baseball made a big mistake because baseball should have run that press conference that day. They should have been down there. They should have run it themselves, and they should have said, we're going to tell you how you're going to do this. We're going to be down there also, have the commissioner there, have Crane there, and then do the players the way they should have been done. To do what they did that day and then put Dusty Baker in the middle of it. I mean, it wasn't even there. I mean, and then have the owner basically say that it wasn't a factor, and then on top of it say, when he was asked, when did you stop? I don't know anything about that. I don't have any information about that. Well, wait a second. If you don't know when they stopped, how do you know they stopped?
Exactly. It's still going on.
When did you stop bootlegging? I don't know anything about that. Well, if you don't know when you stopped, then how do we know you stopped bootlegging? I mean, hilarious. I mean, you wonder how the guy ran a company. I mean, you really did. It's amazing how bad. And baseball then Manfred comes out and kills it and makes it 100 times worse.
Yeah. Exactly.
It has been a total mess. And then you got the Mets stuff. Hey, listen, I can tell you this: these stories about A-Rod. A-Rod doesn't have enough money to buy the Mets. I mean, we all know that. He needs a rich guy to help him. So I mean, but I think Cone is going to double back in. That's what I think is going to happen. I think he's going to turn out to be the big. I think he's going to turn out to be the major bidder.
Well, it would make sense to me. To me, Steve Cohen's got a lot of money. That much I know. I don't know how much he has.
$13 billion. $13 billion.
I can't see him sitting there. If this is something that he wants, and baseball is still receptive to him, I can't see him sitting there and saying, "Oh, okay, they're going to buy it for that. Well, I guess I'll pass." I can't see.
Plus,
that
he already owns 8% as it is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I could definitely see that happening, and maybe he's waiting for this to go to auction and see what the bids are.
I think he will. If I had a wager right now, he'd be the favorite in the clubhouse to still win the bid. Is him?
Yeah, maybe.
First of all, he vetted it. He knows what the costs are. Secondly, he already owns 8% of it, so 8% of the money's coming back to him.
Right. Yep,
so
exactly.
and he just has to get the Wilpons to leave when he wants them to leave. That's all, and then it's over. and I think all that will happen by the end of the season. I don't think it'll happen fast, but the manager and his staff, that was kind of a shotgun thing put together. How is that? How do you see any issues there?
Yeah, it seems to be okay. I really like Jeremy Hefner, the pitching coach. I knew him a little bit. Obviously, he pitched here. Was not a great pitcher when he was in the major leagues. Had arm problems as well. But he's in talking to the pitchers, they seem to be very receptive to him. And one thing that he was worried about is he's so close in age to a lot of these guys. I mean, he just retired from baseball. So, but it has not been a problem thus far. So I like that. I haven't seen Hensley Mullins that much, so I don't know. That's bench coach for Luis. And the other guys have been here, so I don't think it's a problem. They've been pretty tight. Luis has run a pretty tight ship thus far, and I think the coaching staff will be fine. I don't think there's going to be any problems there at all, really.
And right now, any surprises as far as the pitching staff goes? I mean, what do you see as Betances' role? He's the eighth inning guy right now to start the season?
I would that would be my guess. Rojas has stayed away from roles and positions. I mean, he wants nothing to do with that at this point in time. So I get it. I don't think we're going to push him on that. We'll wait and see as spring training goes on. But to me, Diaz is going to be your guy. I think that you look at Betances and Lugo as guys that can, build up and do the eighth inning. Even Familia, if he can, gain his sinker back, and he looks great. So I think that's another guy you have to factor in. And another guy that may factor in too is Justin Wilson, who I don't think was totally healthy last year, and he's the lefty in the pen and can certainly help out there. So those guys I think you look at this point in time. The others, Gesellman, they can chip in, Gesellman, Brock, etc. But yeah, I mean, there's Betances. You would think is going to be the eighth inning guy for Diaz, and I like what I see from Diaz thus far. But again, hey, a couple of days into spring training, so you don't know.
Yeah, you honestly don't know. And then Lugo's going to stay in the pen, right?
Yes, he's not totally happy about that, but I asked him about the off season when he found out and whether he was happy, and I think it's more. It's not a question of with the team so much. It's a monetary thing. He realizes that where the money is, and I think what has to happen with relievers. We were talking about this a little bit, and I think Hader was saying this the other day in Milwaukee too. That they have to kind of rearrange how you rate relievers now instead of just holds and saves. That doesn't really do Seth Lugo all that much good when he's coming in and he's pitching 2 innings and then laying out for a couple of days, that kind of thing. He's a valuable guy to any bullpen or any team. And I think you've got to value things or look at things a little more intrinsically. So I don't know. I don't know whether that'll happen or not. But he knows he's going to be in the pen, and he'll do what he usually does. He'll be fine.
All right, are you broadcasting this coming weekend? Is there games? Is that what you're doing?
There are games this weekend. Yes, I think we have Saturday and Sunday. I'm not positive whether we have both, but they open with a split squad on Saturday. But I think both games are broadcast this Sunday. So we have about 10 games or so time.
And are you doing the same thing you did last year? You doing the same role you did last year?
I will. I'll do some. I'm going to do pregame most of the time. I will do a few games during the season. Have some games on the road, and but I'll be pretty much doing the same thing. Yeah.
All right, Eddie. We'll
Traveling
talk to you.
Around, watching this team.
Thanks, Eddie.
All right, Mike. Good talking.
All right, Eddie Coleman with the Mets. So there you go. And Cespedes. Listen, the bottom line is, I understand they're only paying him $6 million plus he can hit some marks and get more money. They're only paying him $6 million this year compared to what his contract was. A lot of it was invalidated because of the accident. He hasn't played in a year and a half. But he is capable on a walk year of having a big year. He is clearly capable. He's disruptive in a lot of ways. He's very much a me guy. He's a prima donna. He's going to do it his way. Perfect example is this team desperately needs him to play right field, and he won't do it because they need to get Davis in the lineup, and they can't do it because Davis isn't capable of playing right field or center field, and Cespedes will not play right field. He will not play it. He refuses, even though he's got a great arm. He refuses. So you got to play him in center field or left field, and then I guess you can play Davis at third and McNeil at second for a while if you want to do that. I don't know if Davis can. How much has Davis hurt you at third base? I'd have to see, to be honest with you. I haven't seen him enough at third base to know whether he's got a good bat and you want to get Davis's bat in the lineup. He's got a really good bat. but he's also not a good. I mean, the guy's a guy who would be best suited as a DH. See, I always look at teams, and when they have 3 and 4 guys that should be best suited as a DH, that's a problem. Mets got a couple of guys on this team at this stage would be much better suited as a DH. Davis is a DH. Cespedes is a DH. Like the Yankees last year, they had 5 guys that were DHs. It hurts you when that happens. And the Mets will not be a very good defensive team. Canoa's slowing down. Rosario's okay. Alonso's better than we thought at first. McNeil's okay. He's pretty good at second. He's okay at third. And they're not great in the outfield. Davis is a butcher. Ramos is fair behind the plate, doesn't throw guys out. And the other guys are okay. Nobody's great. So, of the everyday players, none of them are great defensive players, so that could hurt. You got the rule changes before we get to the fan in a couple of minutes. We'll take a break and get to the fan when we can. But you got the rule changes for this year. You got the 3-batter minimum, which I don't like. Now, 3-batter minimum does not deal with the end of it. It only 3 batters unless the inning ends. If the inning ends, you want to bring a guy in and you want to use him for 1 batter and he's out at the inning ends, you can use him for 1 batter. If not, he's got to face 3 batters. If he's in the game and the inning doesn't end, he's got to face 3 batters. Roster limits, there are some real changes this year. You have the 26-man roster, 25 to 26 for the regular season. Okay? Maximum pitches you can carry is 13. Smaller rosters in September, thankfully they went to this. You can carry 28 players, including a maximum of 14 players. No more 45 guys. No more 40 guys, rather, and you're carrying 20 pitches. Now you can carry 28 players in September, a maximum of 14 pitches. There are designations for two-way players like Ohtani. 27th man, that is obviously used to be the 26-man rule. Now that's a 27-man rule. You know what that's about. Special circumstances when you have double headers and stuff like that. Challenge time this year will only be 20 seconds to decide if you want to challenge the play, not 30 seconds. That will cost them. There are a lot of times where guys couldn't make up their mind quick enough. Now it's 20 seconds instead of 30 seconds to challenge the play. So they'll make more mistakes there if they actually adhere to the 20 seconds. That had not been previously reported, but that is going to be enforced this year. 20 seconds on the challenge time, not 30 seconds. So the ones there that are big, the 3-batter minimum is big. Because you're a lefty-only guy. If you're Graham Lloyd of the past, you know what? You don't want to have him around for 3 batters. The smaller rosters in September is big. That is big. No longer will you have, the countless thousands and thousands of players. And the 20 seconds on the challenge to decide whether you want to challenge a play or not instead of 30 seconds is big. Because most of the time, it took them 30 seconds to decide. Now it's going to be 20 if they do it right. That's the time they are supposed to give them is 20 seconds to challenge the play, no more. If that is enforced, and if it is enforced strictly, it will hurt a lot of the decision making. It clearly will. And when we come back, we'll hit the fan at 6.
Go on the Fan, New York Sports Radio. Mike's on, Mike's on. He'll get you the sports any way that he can. It's Mike Francesa on the Fan. Sports Radio 66 and 101.9 FM, WFAN.
All right, we take it till 6:30 on this President's Day, a holiday for most people, a holiday week for a lot of kids this week. School's out a lot of places, so we have that. Brought to you by Casamigos Tequila, as always. Brought to you by those who drink it. So Casamigos, as always, brings you our program each and every day. And obviously the baseball hasn't gotten out from under at all. The All-Star game to me is, nice tribute to Kobe, as you would expect, touching. Nice touch. No issues with any of that. No should anybody. I mean, You knew that was going to be an overriding theme. But as far as the rest of it, I don't want to get in the format. None of it. I couldn't even make it through the first. I couldn't make it through the first quarter. I tried. I couldn't make it through 3 or 4 trips down the floor when basically I see 3 guys who are on offense. The only 3 guys who are on their way down the floor. Nobody on defense. Guys hanging and dunking and hanging and laying the ball in. I'm like, come on, I can't take anymore. So after watching that for 3 or 4 trips, I was like, this. I don't know what it is. It's not basketball. So I just can't get involved. So what happened after that? Sorry, I have no interest. When the manager was named, I mentioned that one of the things that was going to be interesting was how he was going to handle a couple of the issues that were going to be presented to him. And one of them I mentioned was clearly Cespedes. Because Cespedes has this feeling that there are no rules for Cespedes. Cespedes does what he pleases. I want to play right field, let's play right field. He wants to come and go, he comes and goes. He wants to do this, he does this. I mean, and even though he hasn't been there for a while, I'm sure Cespedes still thinks he can, he's already said it, that he can go out there and, hit 40 home runs. And there are people who will believe that he can. And I understand that. He's on his walk year. He's going to have to sing for a supper next year. He's going to have to be he's on a walk year, which you like. A player like Cespedes is motivated by that. We know the God-given ability that he has. He's one of the rare players who can actually carry a ball club. We've seen him do it. He carried this ball club. We all know, as Met fans know, that he can be a dominant player when he sets his mind to it. Now, you don't know what the injuries have kind of toll they have taken. We don't know that. We also know that he takes a team that is limited in its approach with certain players, limited defensively, trying to fit the right offensive players into the right slots without killing the defense on the team, and he's got to play into that. There's no DH for him to call home. There's no DH for Davis to call home. You would like to, I thought it would be fair, really fair to find one home for McNeil. Now, McNeil's versatility allows you to move him around. He's not going to kill you defensively. He might not thrill you at every position, but he's not going to kill you at the position. You got a first baseman who's going to play every day. So you're not going to pick up any, unless barring injury, he's not going to be out very often. He's going to play most games. You got a catcher who obviously has got his issues defensively. He's a good offensive catcher. You got Cano, who you got to figure out exactly what number we're talking about. And I don't have a lot of faith in Lowry. Clearly, Lowry could offer them death. I doubt he could play short at this stage. I mean, maybe in a pinch, but I think you're looking at second and third. With McNeil, you're looking at third and second. With Davis, you might be looking at left. You can't put him in right. And Cespedes, remember, will not play right. So if you're going to give Cespedes left, that means Davis has got to squeeze his way into the infield to get at bats. Which means Diego goes to third and McNeil goes to second. Lowry's role and how that works, if there is a role. Cespedes' role and how that works. Davis's role and how that works, and how all this plays into that you don't kill the defense on a team that is going to rely on its starting pitching. We know they have some power. We know they could have a lot of power if things break right. But you're still trying to accentuate the pitching and not put it together a destructive team defensively. If you look at it, best case scenario as you go around the diamond with them. At catcher, defensively, at best, they're okay. At best, they're average. At best. That includes all parts. Glove, calling the game, throwing runners out. First base, he's average. He's not bad. And we thought he's better than he was supposed to be. I agree with. He's supposed to be below average. He's average. Second base, Cano is still above average, but his range is not what it once was. We know he's got good hands, but he's not what he once was. He's got a good infield arm, turn a double play, but catch what he gets to, but he's still no longer going to be a Gold Glove type. Rosario, average. Blows hot and cold, makes the great play, doesn't make the standard play. Third base, again, at best, average. And if Davis there, sub-average. Left field, Cespedes can be above average if he's there and he's healthy, but that's asking a lot. So you'd say average. Davis, below average. Center field, with Nimmo, average. Marisnik, above average, but he's not how much is he going to play? And then Conforto, again, average, and not great, but okay. Not going to hurt you, but not going to you're not going to be thrilled. So they don't have a plus defender, and they have a lot of places when they move guys where they can be 3 or 4 spots where they're negative defenders on a team that is going to rely heavily on a pitching staff. Now, we know they do have some strikeout pitches, but they also have some pitchers that are going to try and get some people out with ground balls, and how you're handling that's going to be key. So defense from a team standpoint is going to be an issue, and dealing with how Cespedes impacts the team. The team is not going to want to spend all spring training talking about Cespedes when he refuses to talk to anybody. Then questions go to everybody else about Cespedes. How do you think Cespedes looks? What do you think Cespedes is? They don't want to do that. It gets tiring right away. So he can be a positive. He can be a distinct negative. So he runs a very big gamut for you, and you're going to want to see early in spring training, what are you seeing from Cespedes? What are you seeing from Lowry? Are there clear paths to playing time for Davis? Clear paths to playing time for Lowry? Does McNeil have to spend a lot of time jumping back and forth? So again, Cespedes would be better suited to right field, put Conforto in center field, and then you can worry about everything else and juggle guys around. But he does bring you some attractiveness. You wonder if he's going to be ready to play at the start of the season. We don't know. Can he be his old self? We don't know. Could you trade him off? Maybe. I could see him being attractive if he showed a live bat early on, but is he worth keeping? Is he too much of a headache? How about dealing with all these issues and then trying to fit all these pieces together? So there's a lot there. There really is. Lowry, big question mark right now. Cespedes, bigger question mark right now. And a lot of other little question marks as you go around the diamond. Manfred let Houston handle his press conference without any supervision. He got burned. And then he went and gave a big interview, and he burned himself. But what do these players expect? Do they expect somehow, does somebody expect that, A, they're going to take the trophy away, which I thought was a long shot. But does somebody think they're going to get the trophy handed to them? No chance. Even taking it away, even vacating it was going to be very, very much a long shot. And the players were not going to get punished here. They were not. He was not going to fight that war with the Players Association. Plus, the guys were not in position of authority. See, the manager and the general manager always had the right and the authority to stop it. The owner did, the general manager did, the manager did. They always had the right. No matter what the players said, they could have said, hey, we're done with this. Case closed, we're done with this. And that's why they paid the price, because of that. Because they are in the position of authority. And the player who is always, always walking that fine line between what I will do to increase performance and what I won't do to increase performance. What I will do legally to increase performance, and how close will I come to the line to increase performance. It's always about performance. And for all those who are so high and mighty about this, hey, when is it gamesmanship and when is it cheating? When you got juiced players, is that cheating or is that gamesmanship? If you're doctoring the baseball, if you're using sandpaper, if you're scuffing the baseball, if you're using some kind of, petroleum product on the baseball, is that gamesmanship or is that cheating? Fine line here. Stealing signs was always considered a baseball art, but now that you use technology, clearly goes along past the lines of decency. But what about the other times? There were accusations about this going back to the Dodgers in 1951, Dodgers and Giants, 1951. It's not exactly a new issue. That is 70 years ago. All right, we're here to 6:30. Summer's at 6:30. We'll try to squeeze a couple of calls in, as I promised. So what we'll do on every day is load up. We'll try and take 3 or 4 or 5. Maybe some days we won't. Some days we will, but we will have them loaded up just in case we can get to them. And we will try most nights to try and get to them back after that. Stuff like, Altuve shouldn't have won the MVP. All right, except I looked at his splits, and he played better on the road than he did at home. So how did the signs help him if he hit better on the road? Don't you have to have some evidence? Now, in the postseason, if you look, the numbers are stark. He hit so much better at home than he did on the road in the postseason. I mean, night and day. I mean, he hit like 190 on the road and 400 at home. But in a regular season, he had an 834 OPS at home and 1,080 on the road. St. John's tonight, big game against Xavier. They need to win that, and they need to beat Seton Hall Sunday if they want to. They need to get some of these big wins if they're going to try and get into the NCAA tournament, other than, of course, winning the Big East tournament, which they could do. Anybody could do that. But there's a lot of teams you're going to have to beat in what is a very, very balanced league. I mean, there's about 6 teams that are all pretty good in the Big East. So, I mean, it's not going to be an easy league to win 2 or 3 days. To win 3 or 4 days in a row is going to be very hard in this league for anybody in that conference right now. The rule changes for this year. 3-batter minimum is going to be one that's going to be big. Remember, it does not, if it's an end of inning, it doesn't have to happen, but otherwise it does. If it's in an inning, the reliever's got to face 3 batters in a row, so no more left-handed, 1-out guys. At the end of the inning, yes, bring him in with 2 outs, best laid plans, you get him out, and you'll see that, but if he stays in the game, can't take him out. Roster limits, 26. Goes up to 27 now for special dates. Big one. Smaller roster sizes in September. Only 28 players, 14 pitchers max. No more 40 players. That's a big one. A lot of people complain about that. Buck complains about that all the time. That's a big one. Another big one. Manager only have 20 seconds instead of 30 to decide if they're going to replay the play. A lot of times, during games, it was like, he didn't have enough time. Does he have enough time? Can he make the call? Now it's down to 20 seconds if they enforce it from 30 seconds. That could be big. There's a couple of other little ones about designating players and injured lists, but those not the big ones. The big ones are 3-batter minimum, roster size, September roster size, and challenge time. Those are your big ones right now, as far as this year goes. And we know what they're planning as far as you got a thing right now, and you're probably wondering, why are all these leagues right now? Why are all these leagues right now talking about major changes in regular season, in the number of playoff teams, in the way we play, in the number of games we play? Why is everybody changing their games right now? Because we're on the verge. We're right at the edge of a new time. We are going to go into this 5G world that you're starting to hear about. And we are also going into this time when streaming is going to completely dominate everybody's existence. And sports programming, sports content in the streaming world is very important because it is live and it is unscripted. When you realize that the NFL stands as not only at the top of the sports content. It is at the top of all content anywhere. The NFL will get the highest bids of anything. Olympic Games, which are specialty events, NFL will get the highest of anything. So the amounts of money they will make will be astronomical, which is why when you deal with that and then what's coming once every state is involved in daily sports wagering, and I'm talking about on phones sports wagering, not just at sites, but on mobile devices sports wagering. That's where it has to be. When you can bet on your phone and you can watch any game on your phone just by pressing a button. So you can get any game, you can get any package. Now, you'll buy it in packages because it'll be cheaper, just like you would buy a bunch of something rather than buy one of something because it could be cheaper. It will be packaged in ways to make it more economical. But right now, we are on the verge of a completely different way of broadcasting sports and digesting sports. You're already seeing it. But so the sports right now are trying to see, okay, how do we readily package our game to fit this model? And that's why you right now have the NBA sitting down and coming up with all kinds of ideas. Baseball just coming up with these radical ideas. Football coming up with radical ideas. The only one we haven't heard from yet is the NHL. You've heard from all three. But what you're talking about is revenues from streaming content and mobile distribution and mobile consumption of both the gambling product and the viewing product. And that's why you have a lot of people rushing in to buy franchises because they think it's going to escalate the price of franchises enormously. It already has, but that it's going to continue. And that they want to get a part of this and make themselves as attractive as they can for these products, which is coming. And that's why if you pay attention, and the only reason I know anything about this because I'm not very good with the technological stuff, except that I read a lot about it because I invest. That's the only reason I know. And we are on the verge of this 5G revolution, which is coming very quickly. And the streaming stuff, which I do understand the sports end of it, is enormous. An enormous. And that's why you see content getting bought up everywhere. And that's why you see people selling their content to radio.com, which I did, Spotify, which others have done, or to different groups out there, which are buying content and locking up personalities who produce content enormously. And that's what's going to make, as an example, radio.com is going to be a very big player in all this in the years to come. So will Amazon, so will Spotify, there'll be a lot of different ones. But my point is that this is coming, and they're trying. That's why you see such a difference and such an outward move to change right now, where baseball's talking about enormous change, and football's talking about enormous change, and the NBA's talking about enormous change, and that's why. It's all in advance of what is about to hit. And I'm talking about hitting in the next 1 to 3 years. Let me squeeze a couple in here before I say goodbye. John in Norwalk. What's up, John? Yes, John. Not there?
Nope.
All right, Jimmy in Delaware. Go ahead, Jimmy. What's up?
Hey, Mike. Pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure. What's up?
About Cespedes, have you ever heard why he is adamantly against playing in right field?
I've never interviewed Cespedes. I just know, especially from Terry Collins, that he was completely. It was a not. I mean, I know Terry asked him, and he has one of the great throwing arms. So it was like, huh? But I don't know that anybody ever got him to explain, and I sure never did because I've never even interviewed him. I don't think he's ever on the record, Jimmy, and it's a very good question why, and thanks for the call, he is so adamant about right field, but he has been already heard Eddie Coleman on radio.com with me earlier today say that Cespedes already said this year it's a non-starter. Already it's a no. And I know for a fact he went in and volunteered against the Yankees to play third base that night. And he was going to play third base against the Yankees. And Terry had sanctioned it. And then Sandy came in and said, he's not playing third base. He saw the lineup and said, get him off there. He's not playing third base. And that was it. And because he had come in and volunteered to play third base. But he will not play right field. He's been asked to play right field. He's got a right field arm, and he refuses to play right field. I do not know why. I have never heard him. Now, he doesn't do a lot of interviews, but I have never heard him give a reason why he doesn't play right field. Sean and Selden, what's up, Sean?
Hey, on the topic of Cespedes, do you foresee this, him not talking to the media, as being turning into something bigger, down the road with this on the season, or do you think this is just something for the spring?
I don't know, but I think the risk you run is. Thanks for the call, Sean. We heard it. I don't know the answer, but here's the thing: this has been a great clubhouse. You got some young budding stars there like Alonso who are wonderful guys and who handle everything really well. You don't need this story to consume your clubhouse, and this will consume the clubhouse. He will be an issue about him not talking if he continues to not talk. Because people want to know where he's at. They want to know if he's going to play in preseason. They want to know if he's going to be ready for the regular season. Is he going to go out and play? Now, we're going to see whether he's going to be in games right away or not. But the point is, how does he feel? How's he doing? If you're going to have the manager answer these questions, it'll be much easier if he asks him rather than then going to each player, how do you think Cespedes looks? How do you think Cespedes looks? They don't want to do that. They don't want to hear that. That becomes an annoyance. And the players are saying behind, grumbling, why do I got to answer about Cespedes for? Why doesn't he answer for himself? And that can become an issue on a team that had no issues in that regard. He's a peculiar individual. He's also been a diva. Now, we know he's very talented. But you know what? He also hasn't played in a long time. And the question is, does he still have the same skills? We don't know. Now, we're going to find out. And if he rips the cover off the ball, nobody's going to care. But if he doesn't rip the cover off the ball, or if he's not playing, people are going to want to know why, and he might walk around and not tell you why. Casamigos Tequila, as always, brings you the program, brought to you by those who drink it. Steve Summers is next. We'll see you tomorrow.